Hey, folks, I'm here with a good friend of mine, Juan. Juan and I have been friends for almost 17 years now. And Juan and I have been in the customer service field for quite some time. Juan, are you there?
I am. Good morning, Chuck.
Good morning, sir. Thanks for joining me here and taking the time to talk about customer service. So, introduce yourself, tell us who you are, what you do, and we'll go from there.
Well, my name is Juan, and I have been working in customer service since dating back to 1992 when I used to work for a product service company. In since then, I've been in the field in many different incarnations, from training to call center industry to the hospitality industry. Right now, I am in a role where I teach, I bring in onboard trainers to be trainers within a corporate environment. That's what I do now.
You stole a little bit of my thunder. I was going to say, aren't you in the training industry now?
I am now. I am now.
So you train the trainers who train employees.
I do.
Awesome. And how does that work? How does that go?
Well, it begins the journey where, much like any role that we fill within our corporate environments, it begins with a interview, and the interview includes different facets. You talk to different people, they ask you different questions. You do a presentation because we want to make sure that you're able to present in a classroom environment. And then once that's complete, you still don't quite have the job because you still have to get through my class. And my class entails everything from classroom techniques to leadership to your ability to manage a classroom, manage the different types of learners that you're going to have in that classroom, from your visuals to auditories to kinesthetics. um, to potentially different personalities like the know-it-all, the heckler, the sleepy type, the distant and that does not pay attention. All of that is included in that class, and then once you pass that class, then we give you the seal of approval that this person is ready to be a corporate trainer, and we let them loose in the classroom to train our prospective employees in any line of business that we may be handling at that time.
Yeah, I know we've talked about that several times. You train several different industries. And what I want this interview to be about, this podcast segment to be about, is really about the customer service aspect of what what you do, how you handle it. What does customer service look like to you in your day to day business? Because I know it can be challenging. We've been there, you know, as supervisors. We've been there on the coaching and mentoring side. It can be challenging. So tell me a little bit about the challenges that you go through and how you do things, your day to day routine.
Well, the biggest challenge that we encounter in our industry is that people think that customer service is just walking up to a microphone or answering the phone and saying, "Thank you for calling XYZ Corporation. My name is so and so." And really and truly, what I try to impact upon people, that customer service is much more than that. Customer service is really and truly that hug from your grandma, that feeling that you get when your grandma greets you at the door, when she brings you into the house and offers you something to drink, something to eat, when you're being treated like a family member. And that's really and truly what customer service is all about. It's much more than just saying, "Thank you for calling XYZ Corporation. My name is Juan. How may I help you today?" And then when the person tells you what their problem is, you give them some level of reassurance that you're going to fix the problem, whatever that problem is. And if you can't fix the problem, that you give them some options.
Awesome. Awesome. That is so true. I, from my standpoint, the day to day, it's interesting the different levels of customer service that I run into. And it doesn't have to be, oh, I went to this four-star restaurant and they wowed me, or I went to this McDonald's and it's just a fast food place and they don't care about me, which, 99.99% of the time, that's what happens. But I, in 2022, we're seeing less and less of training, maybe coaching, mentoring. I'm trying to figure out, where the divide is, or how do we get forward, from especially the pandemic time when, we're looking at people quitting jobs astronomically, and all these industries, these companies are really struggling with retaining and finding good people.
Mm. Well, that's a lot to unpack. So let me begin with why people are quitting their jobs. People are not quitting their job because people generally love what they do. Generally, they love what they do. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say it. And if they really love it, they would do it for free. The fact that we're going to compensate them is a big bonus. What they quit is their leadership, their management, the way that they're being treated in that office. They may even quit the people that they work with because they're just not the right people. So, really and truly, people aren't quitting their jobs, they're quitting the people that they work with.
That's a good point, because I think you and I talked about this several times, that, you know, we don't quit jobs because we hate the job. We quit jobs because of management, the way they treat us,
Mhm.
the way they try to navigate us through this company that we're trying to work for.
And when you talk about coaching, I think coaching is one of the most understated uh, abilities that an employer has in order to create success within the organization. um, but they don't know how to do it. They don't ask the right questions. And I'm going to give you a perfect example. I could stand here and say to you as your coach, Chuck, why didn't you meet the goal? Is that the right question to ask? Absolutely. I need to know why it is that you're meeting the goal. Did I ask it the right way? Absolutely not. I still need to ask the question, why didn't you meet the goal? But perhaps something a little bit different. The question behind the question is asking a better question. Chuck, can you tell me what got in the way of meeting the goal?
Right. Perfect. That is so true. And I think over the span of what, 16 years, of what I dealt with on the supervisory side, that never was communicated properly. And that's probably the main reason why, I walked away and doing my thing, because I feel that management didn't really care about me personally, but all they cared about was getting business done. They don't care how, just get it done. If you don't get it done, well, then there's going to be consequences. So get it done. Right.
Right. And let me tell you that the focus on the numbers as opposed to focus on the people and the coaching and development of your people is the recipe for disaster of any type of organization, any type of team. Um, I'm going to go on a limb and quote the words of the CEO of Virgin Atlantic, okay, Mr. Branson, when he would say, "I take care of my people, and then my people take care of my customers."
Hmm.
And consequently, I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity to fly through a Virgin Atlantic uh, flight or a boarding lounge at any one of the airports around the world. Let me tell you, the level of service and excellence that you get from your people shows that they're happy to come to work. And that is what coaching is all about: developing your people, giving them the skills that they need in order to be successful. So when they wake up in the morning, they're excited to come to work as opposed to looking at themselves in the mirror and looking at themselves and saying, "Oh, it's you again."
I got to say this example to you, because this you led it right into what I wanted to say. I was talking to this kid, and I say kid because he was probably maybe late teens, early 20s, and he didn't seem happy. Something was bothering him. And I said, what's going on? What's happening? Oh, I'm heading to work. Don't like your job, huh? Not really. What don't you like about your job? What is it? They don't pay me enough. And I said, well, you know, in that industry, which was he worked for a restaurant, I said, in that industry, they only have so much money to go around. They can only pay so much. So money really can't be a problem. And yeah, he continued to go on, but it is, but it is. I said, well, what if I told you I could pay you 50 cents less per hour and get you to do just as good a job, if not do a better job? You'll work harder. And you know what he said to me? I don't think so. So after 15 minutes of explaining, what QAC team does, how I do things, the coaching, the mentoring, the program, he had said to me, you sold me. I would do it. And from the standpoint of, I said to him, it's not about giving you more money or all these different things. If you care about your people, you give them an incentive, something to work for, and you show them you care, that goes a long way.
Absolutely, Chuck. And it really boils down to exactly what you just said. People need to feel appreciated. They need to feel valued. They need to feel that when they come to work, someone is glad that they're there, someone other than the customer.
Right.
Because the customer is always glad that somebody answered the phone, but who else is glad that you made it to work today? And the other thing is that when they run into a problem, people need to feel, employees need to feel that they can go to someone and say, I need help, and that someone's going to help them, not redirect them to another department, not redirect them to a phone number that never gets answered, not redirect them to a phone number that ends up in a voicemail. Please leave a message and we'll call you back. They need,
Right.
they need to feel that someone is going to be there to help them solve their issues.
And
When
I think you and I are both on the same page with this. I find a lot of times too, when you try to go to somebody for help, they give you that look as if they're too busy. Don't bother me.
hmm
You know,
hmm
we've seen that several times. And that kind of gives that it's where people say, this company doesn't care about me. Why do I work here? If I'm bothering my manager or my supervisor or my coach, my mentor, then I don't need to be here. And I think that starts the trend of the why the people quit. What do you think?
Absolutely, and it's that moment where the employee walks up to the manager for help, and the entire scene that plays out ends up saying this: can't you see that I'm busy doing nothing?
Yeah, how many times we felt that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, I've been on the end of that several times in my career where I'm busy doing things. I got a meeting coming up, or I got a scheduled coaching with a rep or some fire to put out. And they come to your desk and you look at them like, not another fire, not another issue. But then you smile, and you try to get through it to say, look, I got you. I'm gonna help you.
But you know what, Chuck? That really boils down to the time management skills of that particular manager or leader. Because if somebody comes to me 5 minutes before I have a meeting with my boss, um, I'm probably not going to tell my boss, "Look, I'm busy." But I will tell that particular agent, "Look, I'm about to go into a meeting with my boss. Can I see you the moment I get out? I'm going to be gone for 30 minutes. At 9:35, when I get back to my desk, I'm going to come get you and help you with this. Is that okay?" You're no, you're doing a couple of things here, and this is what really people want, Chuck. They want to be acknowledged. Number one, you're acknowledging their problem. Number two, you're telling me that there's other things that came before me that need your attention. You can't just say no to your boss, not show up at a meeting. And number three, you're saying, I'm going to come see you when I'm done. Is that okay?
Right. Set the expectation up that you're not going on deaf ears. I'm here for you, you know. And that kind of spins me to my next kind of scenario. As of right now, I think, I've said to you several times, right now I'm really focused on the restaurant industry because they're the hardest hit with this pandemic. And there have been thousands of restaurants going out of business from the pandemic. They just can't survive. So now that we have some kind of normalcy going now with the pandemic's kind of behind us, it's not as big as a threat as it was. And I really want to get inside these places and help them avoid that turnover, because turnover costs so much money for these, 1 and 2 and 5 chain restaurants, that spending that money to rehire, train, and put someone on the floor really costs them a lot of money. And that's where I come in. I want to help that restaurant save that money so we can coach and mentor and train the employees they have, keep them happy, so they'll stay there longer. So they'll want to stay there and do a good job.
And you know what? You key in on something very important that I think, having traveled as much as I travel with all the roles that I've had with different companies, I've traveled from, north, south, east, and west, Europe, Asia. And here's what I'm really going to say on the final well on restaurants. No level of bad service can ever excuse an experience for a customer.
That is so true. And I look at that too, from the time I pull in the parking lot to the time I leave. I'm looking at it from, I touched that door, what's the glass look like? How was the host or hostess presented? How did they talk to me? The food, the ambiance, the cleanliness, the timing. It's a lot involved, and I agree with you. Nothing excuses poor service.
And I'll go further and tell you this, Chuck. I say, and this is myself speaking. I can tell, and I can speak for a lot of people here. I think, you know, poor food quality can be overlooked if you have an excellent server, but a poor server cannot make up for great food.
That is very well said. Very well said. And I agree with you. I think a lot of people feel that way because even though the food isn't really up to par, or it's a hamburger, but it really wasn't stellar,
Mm-hmm.
but my server was the bomb.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I could leave there going, "Well, the food was okay. I'll come back," because my server took care of me. My server made sure that my time in this restaurant was wanted and welcomed, you know?
And, and you know what, Chuck? I'll give you an example of two crab cake restaurants here in the Baltimore area that are right behind the airport, and they are in competition, just like the cheesesteaks folks up in Philadelphia. One restaurant has by far the better crab cakes, but their service is horrible. Horrible. I've been there many times and it is horrible. The other one, the crab cakes are okay. They're pretty good. Um, I wouldn't print about it in the front page of the New York Times, but they're pretty good. But the service that I get there whenever I go there, and that's why I go there, is superb.
Right, right. Sounds like that restaurant needs to hear from me to get my service on board to help them. What do you think?
I'll give you the name when we're done.
Yeah, I would love that. I um I had a customer just last night. I've got the name and the number of this restaurant in Bryn Mawr, Philadelphia, the Philadelphia area, Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And I looked at the website, looked at, this is one specialty that I like about what I do with my company is I look at your website and I go over what you're about. What am I going to experience when I come to your restaurant? And when I come in there, if I don't experience what you say I'm going to experience on your website, there's a disconnect. And I think the owner needs to know that, is like, let's work together, because if this is what you are wanting your customers to experience, but we're not, let's get you there.
Absolutely. Because you know what? If your employees don't know what your mission statement is, how do you expect them to deliver on it?
That is that's key, because you said it perfect. If again, it goes back to training, right? As you do it every day. If your people don't know what your mission is, what you're going to accomplish when these people are with you there. They're never going to hit the target, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Most customers don't walk into a restaurant with a checklist of the expectations. They just walk in there to have dinner with a friend or maybe their significant other or their family. And the experience, the ambiance that our servers create is all about understanding what the mission statement of that restaurant is. Just like a call center, our customers don't come in with a QA checklist on, did they greet me properly, were they helpful, did they smile, did they were empathetic. They just are looking for somebody to create an experience from the moment that they answer that phone to the moment that they ask that question.
Well,
Let me
I'm glad you said that, because that leads right into my process was, yeah, that's exactly what I do. What people work for me do. They go in, they're looking for those wow moments. They're looking for that. How is this restaurant going to treat me? You know.
what makes you different from the rest of the people that I have on my list to go have dinner with tonight?
See, and I was just about to say that to you, and this is a good personal question to you: is what makes you choose a specific restaurant? Do you just drive around and say, "I'm hungry. Let me go. Oh, here's a pizza place. Let me just dive in there." I mean, we have Google, right? With people check, the Google ratings now. They look at um, what feedback they're seeing on the websites, but it still doesn't give you an overall picture of what you're going to experience, right? I mean, you could have 5 stars on Google, but you could walk in and have a terrible experience, right? Horrible, right?
Hmm.
So what, what that's something I'd like to know is what makes people pick a specific restaurant that they go to. Why did you pick that burger place?
Well, for me, is it a lot of times is value. Am I getting value for my money? Well, what I'm paying for. There's some burger chains here that charge 25 dollars for a burger, shakes, and fries, and I can get the same thing through a drive-through. Okay, so that I don't feel I get value sometimes with that. But at the end of the day, it really brings me back to what I said about my grandmother experience.
Yes,
Do I feel that I walked into your establishment and that did I get a hug? The virtual hug, not proverbial. I mean, sometimes depending on the ownership, the owner may come out and give you a hug and thank you for coming to the restaurant. But did I feel like I got that hug?
right,
Now, do reviews and Yelp play a role? Yeah, but you know what? Here's what I'm going to tell you. I look at those very much like they do at the Olympics and figure skating. You throw out the highest score, you throw out the lowest score, and whatever's in the middle is what I kind of look at
right,
when it comes to ratings.
right. So you're leaning towards to say Chuck's service is perfect for businesses like restaurants, so they can get a nice snapshot of how their business is really running, right?
Yeah, because you're looking in from the outside. You are standing outside as an invisible person, and you're looking into the operation with very objective eyes as to what is happening here. Are you delivering on the mission statement, whatever that mission statement happens to be to our
Right.
customers?
Right. And what I like about secret shopping is it gives you that it's not about the shopper's opinion of what they experienced. You're getting actual factual data of what happened. And at the end of the report, you get, would you return to this location? Yes or no? Why? And that is where their personal preference comes in, where they can tell that owner what they personally experienced and why they would or would not return.
And Chuck, I will tell you that even in my industry, as we are evaluating employees, but more so in the restaurant industry, people confuse the word observation with opinion.
Right.
They are two very different words. I observed this, this, and this. My opinion of this candidate is this. Same thing in the restaurant. I observed this, this, and this from my server. My opinion of this restaurant is this. They're two very different things. Uh, One of them leans towards more of the subjective, while the other one leads to more objective.
So true. And I think a lot of these reviews you look at online, especially through Yelp and Google, what happens is people, if I go to a restaurant and I have a bad night, kids give me a fit, and my food's not the greatest, I'm going to really bash this restaurant because now my opinion kind of fell because of how I felt. And I
Hmm.
think that's a huge, you know, miss here with these reviews is because you're not really getting what this restaurant or this location is really about because you're just hearing people whine most of the time or, you know, what if your service is, you know, mediocre, but yet you said you had a great time because the hostess smiled the whole time, with secret shopping, man, you really get that person comes in undercover. They are that factual person that gives you exactly what happened. You don't get that mixed feeling in it until the end of the report when they tell you what is your opinion. Why or why not would you return to this location?
And I think that's critical to always leave the opinion until the end.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yep. And I think one thing I want to hit on here, I did some test shops prior to Q.A.C. when I was running constant change consulting. I went to a chain restaurant where they wanted me to look at their bar, and I had my spy glasses on, and they looked at that video and they were just blown away because they saw the actual video of how that bartender dealt with that entire bar, every customer, pouring the drinks, what they threw away, how they made them, over pour everything out, and it was great because video it doesn't lie, right? Unless we edit
Hmm.
it, you know.
You have video proof, and the video does not lie. As you said, unless you do selective editing, the video is the video. It's the video. Who hasn't seen that on Facebook or TikTok, or when people misbehave and they post it and it goes viral?
Exactly. Yep. Final words, Juan. What you want to add, man? Tell me.
Well, the final word here is, as I mentioned before at the opening of our thing, customer service is something that has to go beyond, thank you for visiting, calling XYZ Corporation. My name is so and so. How may I help you today? You have to create that grandmother experience, that feeling that you got when you went to visit grandma. Because you know what? If you haven't had that feeling, I am so sorry, but I totally experienced that feeling when I went to visit grandma. The door opened, there were smiles, there was happiness, there was joy. That is the kind of environment that we want to create for our customers. And I'm going to go further, our employees. Again, Virgin Atlantic, I'm going to use that example. If you create that environment where you take care of your employees in turn are going to feel comfortable, they're going to feel needed, they're going to feel appreciated. They will take care of your customer.
That is so true, man. And to tie into that, if we take care of our employees, we incentivize them to say, look, you're doing a great job, you're going to get rewarded. Because so many times we look at the negatives. We don't look at the people who are doing a good job because we feel like, well, they're doing good, so I ain't got to mess with them. I don't need to worry about them because they're doing a good job already. No, they're the ones that you need to really retain because they're the ones who will leave.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Juan, thanks for your time, man. I appreciate it. Good conversation. I like your take on customer service. Let's get together soon and talk some more.
Absolutely. Good
All right.
talk.
Yes, sir. Thanks, man. Thanks for coming on, buddy.
Have
Appreciate
a
it.
great. Bye.
See you, buddy.